There comes a moment in every person's life when they finally realize that not every battle deserves their energy. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding deserves an explanation. And not every foolish person deserves access to your peace. Some people wake up every morning searching for conflict. They feed on chaos. They provoke, interrupt, mock, manipulate, and drain the spirit of everyone around them. They pull people into emotional wars that have no winner. And the worst part is this: if you are not careful, they can slowly turn you into the very thing you despise. The Stoics understood this deeply. They understood that the quickest way to lose control of your life is to hand control of your emotions to foolish people. Because the moment someone can provoke your anger at will, they become your master. The moment someone can drag you into endless arguments, they begin stealing your focus, your energy, your joy, and even your destiny. So today, understand this clearly. You do not become powerful by winning arguments. You become powerful by refusing to waste your soul on people committed to misunderstanding you. Before we go deeper, subscribe to the channel and become part of this growing community of people choosing discipline, wisdom, emotional strength, and stoic living in a world filled with noise and confusion. Most people think intelligence is proven by speaking louder. They think strength is proven by dominating conversations. They think victory means having the final word. But Stoicism teaches something completely different. Real strength is restraint. Real wisdom is emotional control. Real power is silence when silence protects your peace. And foolish people cannot understand this because they mistake calmness for weakness. But the Stoic knows something they do not. The lion does not waste time arguing with monkeys. Look around carefully. How many people have destroyed relationships, careers, opportunities, and inner peace simply because they could not walk away from foolish conversations? One insult becomes an argument. One argument becomes resentment. One moment of anger becomes years of regret. Entire lives have been ruined because people reacted emotionally instead of strategically. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that every day he would encounter people who were selfish, arrogant, ignorant, jealous, and unreasonable. But he also reminded himself that their behavior came from ignorance, not wisdom. This is one of the greatest lessons you will ever learn. Foolish people do not always know they are foolish. Many of them genuinely believe they are right. They live trapped inside their ego. They cannot see beyond their emotions. And arguing with someone controlled by emotion is like trying to reason with a storm. No matter how logical your words are, the storm only wants to rage. That is why the Stoic chooses distance over drama. Not because they are afraid, but because they understand that peace is more valuable than proving a point. There are people who will insult you simply because your calmness exposes their chaos. There are people who will challenge you because your discipline reminds them of their weakness. There are people who will mock your silence because they are terrified of facing their own thoughts. Do not take it personally. The foolish often attack what they secretly envy. And this is why emotional maturity is so rare. Most people react instantly. They hear something offensive and immediately explode. They feel misunderstood and immediately defend themselves. They are addicted to emotional reactions. But the Stoic pauses. The Stoic observes. The Stoic asks a powerful question before responding. Is this even worth my peace? That question alone can save your life. Because not every opinion matters. Not every criticism deserves your attention. Not every accusation requires your defense. Some people are committed to misunderstanding you no matter how clearly you explain yourself. And one of the most painful truths in life is realizing that you cannot educate someone who is emotionally invested in remaining blind. You must stop trying to win over everyone. That desperate need for validation is exhausting your spirit. You keep explaining yourself to people who already decided not to understand you. You keep defending your character to people who enjoy doubting you. You keep wasting emotional energy on people who never intended to listen. And slowly, this constant emotional warfare drains your confidence. It steals your sleep. It poisons your focus. It weakens your soul. But the Stoic steps back and remembers something important. Your life is too short to fight every fool. Imagine a man standing in mud arguing with someone determined to throw dirt at him. At first, he tries to reason calmly. Then he becomes emotional. Then angry. Then consumed. Eventually both people are covered in mud. But only one of them enjoys it. That is exactly what happens when you argue endlessly with foolish people. They pull you into emotional mud. And if you stay there too long, you begin losing parts of yourself. This is why silence can be a weapon. Not weak silence. Strategic silence. Controlled silence. The kind of silence that says, "I value my peace more than this pointless battle." The world will often pressure you to react. Social media rewards outrage. Modern culture celebrates public conflict. People film arguments. People mock each other for entertainment. People turn humiliation into content. And slowly, society trains people to become emotionally impulsive. But the Stoic walks in the opposite direction. The Stoic understands that emotional reactions create emotional chains. Every unnecessary argument steals time from your goals. Every emotional conflict distracts you from your purpose. Every foolish battle leaves invisible scars on your mind. You were not born to spend your life defending yourself against every ignorant opinion. You were born to build, to grow, to evolve, to master yourself. And self-mastery becomes impossible when your emotions are controlled by fools. One of the most dangerous mistakes intelligent people make is assuming everyone values truth. They do not. Some people value ego more than truth. Some value attention more than wisdom. Some value winning more than understanding. This is why logic alone cannot save every conversation. Because when a person is emotionally committed to their pride, facts become irrelevant. You could present perfect reasoning and they would still resist. Not because you are wrong, but because accepting truth would require humility. And humility is impossible for the arrogant. So the Stoic learns when to disengage. This is not weakness. This is emotional intelligence. Think about how many times you lost peace trying to correct someone who never wanted correction. Think about how many sleepless nights came from replaying pointless arguments. Think about how much energy was wasted trying to defend your intentions to people determined to misjudge you. Enough. Enough explaining. Enough chasing understanding from people committed to distortion. Enough sacrificing your mental peace just to be heard. You do not need everyone to understand your heart. You only need to remain true to it. Epictetus taught that if someone speaks badly about you, you should live in such a way that nobody believes them. That is Stoic power. Not revenge. Not endless arguments. Not emotional warfare. Character. Consistency. Calmness. The fool shouts. The Stoic builds. The fool attacks. The Stoic improves. The fool obsesses over appearances. The Stoic focuses on inner discipline. And eventually life exposes the difference. Because time reveals character. Time reveals wisdom. Time reveals emotional maturity. A foolish person can pretend for a moment. But they cannot hide forever. Eventually their anger consumes them. Eventually their arrogance isolates them. Eventually their emotional chaos destroys their relationships. And this is why you must stop trying to fight every battle. Life itself will reveal the truth. You do not need to force it. One of the hardest lessons for good-hearted people is realizing that kindness does not work on everyone. Some people interpret kindness as weakness. Some interpret patience as permission. Some interpret silence as surrender. But Stoicism teaches balance. You can be peaceful without being passive. You can be kind without tolerating disrespect. You can walk away without losing dignity. Sometimes the smartest response is complete detachment. No explanation. No emotional reaction. No desperate defense. Just distance. And this drives foolish people crazy because they feed on reaction. They want access to your emotions. They want to provoke you. They want to disturb your peace. But when you remain calm, you deny them power. Remember this forever. A person who angers you controls you. That single truth can transform your entire life. Imagine becoming so emotionally disciplined that insults no longer shake you. Imagine becoming so focused on your purpose that foolish opinions no longer distract you. Imagine becoming so internally strong that chaos around you cannot penetrate your peace. That is Stoic mastery. Not becoming emotionless, but becoming emotionally sovereign. The problem is that many people secretly enjoy conflict. They complain about drama while constantly creating it. They claim to want peace while feeding chaos. They say they hate negativity while spreading it everywhere they go. Do not become one of those people. Protect your spirit. Protect your focus. Protect your emotional energy. Because your attention is your life. Where your attention goes, your energy follows. And if foolish people constantly occupy your mind, they are stealing your existence. There are people who spend years arguing online with strangers. Years defending themselves to critics. Years trying to prove their worth to people who already made up their minds. And at the end of it all, what did they gain? Stress. Bitterness. Emotional exhaustion. Meanwhile, the Stoic quietly grows stronger. Quietly builds discipline. Quietly develops wisdom. Quietly creates a meaningful life. This is what fools never understand. Your silence is not defeat. Your refusal to argue is not weakness. Your calmness is not ignorance. It is control. And control is power. One of the greatest forms of intelligence is knowing where not to invest your energy. Every day you wake up with limited emotional resources. Limited time. Limited focus. Limited attention. Why waste those precious resources on pointless conflict? Why sacrifice your inner peace trying to correct people addicted to misunderstanding? Why allow fools to distract you from your destiny? The Stoic understands that life is already difficult enough. There will already be suffering, loss, pain, disappointment, aging, failure, heartbreak. So why create unnecessary suffering through endless emotional battles? Wisdom means reducing unnecessary chaos. And many arguments are completely unnecessary. Sometimes people insult you because they are hurting. Sometimes they attack because they feel powerless. Sometimes they provoke because they crave attention. And sometimes they simply lack the emotional maturity to communicate peacefully. You cannot heal all of them. You cannot fix everyone. You cannot save people from themselves. That realization may hurt. But it will also free you. The Stoic accepts reality instead of fighting it. And reality is this. Some people will misunderstand you. Some people will dislike you. Some people will criticize you unfairly. Some people will never see your heart. And that is okay. You do not need universal approval to live a meaningful life. You only need integrity. One of the strongest things a human being can say is, "I no longer need to convince you." That sentence carries freedom. Because when you stop seeking validation from foolish people, you reclaim your peace. The Stoics were not weak men. They were warriors, leaders, thinkers. People who faced betrayal, political chaos, humiliation, suffering, and loss. Yet they understood something modern society forgets. Inner peace is more important than public victory. A man who wins every argument but loses his peace is not successful. A person who proves everyone wrong but becomes emotionally bitter has not won. Victory without peace is still defeat. And many people learn this too late. They spend years trying to dominate others, trying to appear superior, trying to win every disagreement. But inside they remain restless, angry, fragile, insecure. Because true strength does not come from overpowering people. It comes from mastering yourself. That is the heart of Stoicism. Self-mastery. Can you remain calm when insulted? Can you remain disciplined when provoked? Can you remain wise when surrounded by foolishness? Can you walk away from chaos even when your ego wants revenge? That is the real challenge. And very few people can do it. Most people are slaves to impulse. They react immediately. They speak without thinking. They explode emotionally. Then later regret the damage. But the Stoic pauses between emotion and action. That pause changes everything. Because inside that pause lives wisdom. Inside that pause lives discipline. Inside that pause lives freedom. Never underestimate the power of emotional restraint. A single calm decision can save you from years of regret. A single moment of silence can prevent massive destruction. A single act of self-control can completely change your future. Many people lose relationships not because they lacked love, but because they lacked emotional control. Many people lose opportunities not because they lack talent, but because they lack discipline. Many people destroy their own peace because they never learned when to walk away. But today you can become different. Today, you can decide that your peace matters more than your pride. Today, you can stop feeding foolishness with your energy. Today, you can begin protecting your mind like something sacred. Because it is sacred. Your mind shapes your reality. Your thoughts shape your life. And every foolish conflict leaves traces inside your spirit. This is why Stoics were careful about the company they kept. They understood that energy is contagious. Spend enough time around angry people and anger infects you. Spend enough time around drama and chaos becomes normal. Spend enough time around foolishness and eventually your own judgment weakens. So choose your environment carefully. Not everyone deserves close access to your inner world. Not everyone deserves your vulnerability. Not everyone deserves your emotional investment. Some people enter your life only to distract you from yourself. The wise person learns to recognize this early. They stop trying to rescue toxic people. They stop trying to explain themselves endlessly. They stop chasing acceptance from emotionally immature individuals. And slowly, their life becomes quieter, cleaner, stronger, peaceful. Many people fear silence because silence forces self-reflection. That is why foolish people constantly seek noise. Constant conflict. Constant distraction. Constant drama. Because stillness would force them to confront themselves. But the Stoic welcomes silence. The Stoic uses silence to sharpen the mind. To observe emotions. To develop wisdom. To understand life more deeply. And this inner stillness becomes a form of armor. Because when you truly know yourself, foolish opinions lose power over you. Think about that. Why do insults hurt so much? Often because part of us fears they may be true. But when you deeply know your values, your character, your intentions, random criticism loses its grip. You stop needing applause. You stop fearing rejection. You stop chasing approval. And that freedom changes your entire existence. The world becomes quieter. Your mind becomes clearer. Your energy becomes focused. Suddenly, you are no longer reacting to every fool who crosses your path. You begin moving with purpose. And purpose is dangerous to foolish people. Because focused individuals cannot be easily manipulated. A distracted mind is weak. An emotionally reactive mind is controllable. But a disciplined mind becomes unstoppable. This is why emotional discipline is one of the highest forms of power. Not physical power. Not social power. Inner power. The power to remain steady in chaos. The power to remain calm during insult. The power to protect your peace in a noisy world. Imagine how different your life would become if you stopped reacting emotionally to every negative person. Imagine how much energy you would recover. Imagine how much mental clarity would return. Imagine how much peace would enter your life. Too many people are emotionally exhausted because they spend their lives fighting battles that never mattered. And the saddest part is that most of those battles were with fools. People who never intended to understand. People who only wanted attention. People who wanted emotional control. People who projected their own insecurity onto others. Do not hand your peace to such people. Protect it. Guard it. Respect it. Your peace is expensive. Do not give it away cheaply. One day you will realize something powerful. The people who disturbed your peace the most were rarely important to your destiny. Most of them were temporary distractions. Temporary noise. Temporary lessons. And yet you sacrificed so much emotional energy trying to fight them. Not anymore. Now you choose wisdom. Now you choose discipline. Now you choose emotional freedom. Because every moment spent arguing with fools is a moment stolen from your growth. While they remain trapped in emotional chaos, you can be building your future. While they gossip, you can be learning. While they attack, you can be improving. While they seek conflict, you can be creating peace. This is how you truly outsmart foolish people. Not by defeating them publicly, but by refusing to become like them. That is the ultimate victory. The Stoic does not descend into unnecessary chaos. The Stoic rises above it. And understand this carefully. Walking away is not always easy. Sometimes your ego screams for revenge. Sometimes your pride demands the final word. Sometimes you desperately want people to understand your side. But wisdom often requires sacrifice. Sometimes maturity means swallowing your pride to protect your peace. Sometimes growth means accepting misunderstanding without emotional collapse. Sometimes strength means staying silent while others provoke you. And yes, it hurts. Especially when you are a good person. Especially when your intentions were pure. Especially when you gave your best. But life becomes lighter the moment you stop trying to force understanding from people committed to confusion. You cannot force wisdom into a closed mind. You cannot force honesty into a dishonest heart. You cannot force emotional maturity into someone addicted to chaos. So stop exhausting yourself. Your soul deserves rest. Your mind deserves calmness. Your future deserves your focus. The Stoics constantly reminded themselves of mortality. Not to become fearful, but to become intentional. One day your life will end. One day all these arguments will mean nothing. One day the opinions of foolish people will disappear completely. So why waste precious years trapped in emotional battles? Why spend your limited time proving yourself to people who refuse to see your value? Why sacrifice your inner peace for temporary conflict? Life is short. Too short for endless drama. Too short for emotional warfare. Too short for foolish arguments. Instead, invest your energy where it truly matters. Invest it into growth. Into wisdom. Into discipline. Into purpose. Into healing. Into becoming the strongest version of yourself. Because the greatest revenge against foolishness is not anger. It is elevation. Rise so high mentally, emotionally, and spiritually that chaos can no longer reach you. Become so disciplined that negativity cannot control your emotions. Become so peaceful that foolish people lose access to your spirit. This is the path of the Stoic. Not emotional suppression, but emotional mastery. Not arrogance, but inner stability. Not weakness, but controlled strength. There will always be fools in this world. Always. You cannot eliminate them. But you can decide how much access they have to your mind. That choice belongs to you. And the moment you truly understand this, your life changes. You stop reacting automatically. You stop carrying unnecessary emotional burdens. You stop wasting your energy proving your worth. And for the first time in a long time, you breathe easier. You sleep better. You think clearer. Because peace finally returns. Never forget this. The strongest person in the room is not always the loudest. Often, the strongest person is the calmest. The one who refuses pointless conflict. The one who protects their inner world. The one who cannot be manipulated by insult. The one who understands that peace is power. That is the person who truly wins in life. Not because they conquered others, but because they conquered themselves. And self-conquest is the highest victory of all. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, pause. Breathe. Observe. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Most of the time, the answer will be no. And that simple realization can save you from countless regrets. You do not need to attend every argument you are invited to. You do not need to defend yourself against every accusation. You do not need to prove your intelligence to fools. A diamond does not argue with dirt. The sun does not argue with darkness. And wisdom does not argue endlessly with ignorance. It simply continues shining. That is your path now. To keep shining. To keep growing. To keep protecting your peace. To keep mastering yourself. And when foolish people try to pull you into emotional chaos, remember who you are becoming. You are becoming disciplined. You are becoming emotionally free. You are becoming mentally unshakable. You are becoming someone who no longer wastes life fighting meaningless battles. And that transformation will change everything. People will notice your calmness, your stability, your restraint, your quiet confidence. Some will misunderstand it. Some will test it. Some will even resent it. But others will be inspired by it. Because calmness is rare in a chaotic world. And disciplined people become lights in dark places. So continue walking this path. Not the path of endless reaction. Not the path of emotional slavery. Not the path of foolish conflict. Walk the path of wisdom. Walk the path of discipline. Walk the path of Stoicism. And whenever life becomes noisy, return to this truth. Your peace is more valuable than proving a point. Your future is more important than temporary arguments. Your energy is too precious to waste on fools. Protect it with everything you have. Because in the end, the people who truly succeed in life are not those who argued the most. They are the ones who stayed focused. The ones who stayed disciplined. The ones who refused to let foolish people distract them from their purpose. Become one of those people. And one day, you will look back at all the battles you refused to fight and realize that your silence protected your destiny. If this message spoke to your soul, subscribe to the channel, join this community of disciplined minds, and continue walking the Stoic path with us. Because in a world full of noise, chaos, and foolishness, becoming calm is a revolution. And your greatest power will never be the ability to destroy others. It will always be the ability to master yourself.